I've decided to build up a single speed, and I just got this frame from the bike shop. Got a Niner Sur 9, and I went with a small. I'm 5'8", and looking at the top tube measurements, I decided that the small was going to be the best size for me. And I had a single speed a few years ago, and I liked the single speed, but I did not like the chain tensioner. It kept coming loose. It was on the dropouts. So I'm looking forward to trying one that's an eccentric bottom bracket like the Niners. So over the next 5 or 10 days, I'm going to be getting in all the components and build it up, and I'll do a review and put it on my YouTube channel. Alright, so I'm weighing this bike in at 4.76 pounds. Again, this is a small, and I'm weighing it with just the seat post clamp on it. Have not put in the eccentric bottom bracket unit or the headset. This bike does come with a headset, so that's really cool. It also comes with a Maxle. This will be the first bike I've built up with a Maxle. And obviously this is a Reynolds 853 bike, so probably about 2 pounds heavier than a carbon bike, but I'm not building this up as a race bike. This is just going to be a fun single speed. May do some single speed races on it, but it's not the primary goal. This is just going to be a simple bike, low maintenance. I'm really liking all the accessories that you get with this frame. I mentioned the Maxle and the headset. Now this headset that's included with the frame is designed to run a tapered steer tube fork. So even though with steel you can't really form the head tube so that it flanges at the bottom for a tapered steer tube fork, the headset will allow that because it's external, and it is wide enough for a tapered steer tube fork. You also get a really nice chainstay protector. It's kind of hard to see in this video with the lighting, but it's kind of rubber at the top. So it looks like a lizard skin, but with a rubber texture at the top. You also get these cable guides. So you run, if you want to run gears on it, you run full-length housing, and it's got 2 sets, and I would imagine what these are for. I haven't really found any instructions on them yet, but you've got these which hold 1 cable, so I think it's if you want to run just a rear derailleur, you can run it down underneath the down tube, and if you want to run a rear and front derailleur, you use these which hold a cable on each side, again running under the down tube of the frame. You also get a derailleur hanger. So this is just the Maxle side. If you want to run a rear derailleur, you can use this. Other parts of the headset, the star nut and the top cap. So really a complete package with this frame. You've got everything that you need to get building on either a single speed or a 1x or a front and rear derailleur. Alright, I'm making progress on the build here. I've got all of my components in, wheels and everything. The only thing that I'm waiting for is the fork, which should be in a few days. I'm going with the Fox F29, the new one, the CTD Climb Trail Descend. And let me just say something about the Niner Biocentric 2 bottom bracket. I'd mentioned before that I had a single speed that had adjustable rear dropouts, and they were a pain. They had 2 bolts on each side, kind of at the top, and you slid the whole dropout back. You had to make sure the wheel was square. I could not get them to stay tight. They would slip, my chain would come off, and that's the reason I sold the single speed. I didn't like it. So I am excited about the Biocentric. This is the new one, and this one uses 2 bolts instead of 1. You can use less torque. These go to 12 Newton meters. And Niner puts this hole here where you just slip a 6mm Allen wrench in, so you can just turn the whole unit very easily, and it is really easy to adjust. I mean, you just stick the wrench in there, turn it, get the chain where you want it, tighten these 2 bolts evenly to 12 Newton meters, and it's good to go. I did get this OD pipe joint compound that Niner recommends for this to cut down on, well, hopefully eliminate slipping and creaking. And this is a buck that I picked up at Lowe's. And so when I do my review on this bike, I will comment on whether or not it does work as far as preventing slippage and creaking. But I'm really excited at the just the ease of build and adjustability on the Biocentric tube. I went with the Niner RDO seat post. This is a carbon post that is supposed to have a lot of flex to it. All of my other hardtails that I've ever ridden have had a suspension seat post. I debated on whether or not I should go with that, but I get a lot of flack from my buddies for having a seat post that weighs a pound. I've used the Cane Creek Thud Busters in the past. They've worked really well for me. Some people like them, some people don't. I really like them, but in order to save weight and avoid heckling from my buddies, I went with the RDO, and we're going to see how it works as far as absorbing some of the hits when you stay in the saddle. But this bike is all about simplicity for me, so it's just one less thing to worry about by not having a suspension seat post. Again, when I do my review on this bike, I will comment on my opinions of this seat post. So just waiting for the fork and it'll be ready to go. Okay, so here's the bike. I got it all built up, got in the fork the other day. Put it on, and I got the black fork because when you get a fork from a bike manufacturer, Fox fork, usually it's the opposite color of the OEMs from Fox. So this one's black from Niner. Looks pretty cool on the bike with the black seat post and the black cranks. So I did take it out the other day, a little bit of dirt on the bike, just because I had to do some adjustments on the bike. And but now it's ready to roll. And just a few tech notes before I close this video that I'll let you know. First of all, the brake calipers on this bike are inside the rear triangle, so that's kind of cool. However, because the banjo bolt is kind of down low, you cannot bleed these brakes very well on the bike. I had to actually drop the brake caliper off the bike and let it hang straight down, and then I was able to bleed the caliper. I was really having a lot of trouble with it, and realized it was because of the position of the banjo bolt when it's in the rear triangle. Also, not really specific to this bike, but this is the Stan's ZTR Crest wheel set, and when you order the 142 spacing rear hub, you actually get the standard was it 135, and you have to convert it. And when I did that, you have to tap out the non-drive side bearing. And when I put the 142 spacing axle in and got it back on the bike, every time I tightened the axle, the free hub would get stiff. And finally I realized that bearing, even though it looked like it was in all the way, I had to tap it in a little bit more. That released the free hub when the axle was tight, and it worked okay. And finally, this again is not specific to this bike, but when I went out for my adjustment ride, I noticed that I was getting a noise every couple pedal rotations, and I could kind of feel it in the crank. And finally what I realized was this master link on this KMC chain, the pins stick out a little bit further on one side, and I had the chain the other way, and they were hitting this bash guard every time they came around. So once I realized what it was, I just flipped the chain around and stuck the pins out on the left side. So if you're building a single speed and you use a KMC chain, you have a bash guard, just to maybe save you some time, take note of that. So I'll do a review on this bike, a full review on the ride after I put in a few good weeks of riding the single speed on my local trails. So thanks a lot for watching.